Hello everyone, welcome to BrainScratch Searchlight. I'm John Lorden here with another case to review, and you know, it's tough because there has been a few occasions where I will do my research for a case and then it concludes before I'm able to film the episode. And in most cases, it's a good conclusion. For example, I seem to notice that when I try to research teenage cases, particularly if people think that they have run away from home, occasionally those will wrap up very, very quickly, like within a matter of a day or two. So I try to keep a little gap on that. However, this case in particular touched me because this young man right here, David Puckett, first of all, is 6 years old, went missing on New Year's Eve. So by the time you see this, that will probably have been 4 or 5 days ago. And there's some strange circumstances around his disappearance. It seems like he literally just walked away from home, and there has been such a big rush of support. There's been a lot of press that have been covering this. As a matter of fact, I even kind of debated, hey, isn't there enough press around this? But I just wanted to do the right thing and cover this case. Now, I literally was looking up something. I just wanted to make sure I had the pronunciation of his name right before I shot this episode. And I think there might be a conclusion to this case, but I still want to review it. And then I'll tell you at the end what the recent development is, and we'll figure it out from there. So let's take a look at the case of David Wayne Puckett. Here's the poster for him. Missing from Aurora, Colorado, 6 years old, 4 feet tall, 55 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes, last seen wearing an army-style tan jacket, green camo pants, black boots with orange trim. Also, someone noted that the jacket he was wearing might look like it was cut for a woman, like a woman's coat. As a matter of fact, some articles are straight up saying that it is a tan woman's coat, but I believe the more accurate description is just that the cut looks like a tan woman's coat. Of course, you see there is also a reward and contact information here as well. This case is curious because he has actually disappeared before, and the area that he lives in has a pretty dense population, 325,078 people as of the 2010 census. It is the third most populous city in the state of Colorado and the 54th most populous city in the United States. So this isn't like some cases we cover where you know, a young man might go missing out in the woods or something like that. This kid is smack in the middle of a pretty densely populated neighborhood, which once again leads me to believe that something might be at play here in terms of his disappearance. If he had been seen by some other people, by some neighbors or something, they likely would have at least identified, hey, there's a kid walking around, maybe I should call the police. If they did even a little footwork in terms of just a very quick internet search just for Aurora and missing, they probably would have bumped into numerous articles about this kid. So the information was not hard to come by. Outside of that, the Aurora Police Department did what's called a reverse 911, where essentially they had the 911 phone system call local residents. I believe it was 27,000 local residents in this area. Actually, the support around this case has been pretty amazing in terms of all the different departments that have contributed to it. Of course, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children was helping. Dogs were brought in on this case. There was even someone that was just volunteering their drone. There were so many people coming to help look for him that they actually began turning some people away because they didn't want to mess up the possible effects of the scent that the dogs were using to try to track him. In terms of what happened, we're going to jump to this article at denver.cbslocal.com. Police said that the missing child, David Wayne Puckett, was with his family at their home on Amherst Place near Jasper Street when he apparently wandered off around 5:45 p.m. Saturday, and that was New Year's Eve 2016. The coat he's wearing is not a very thick coat, his mother said. I'm worried about how cold it is, that something really bad might have happened to him, and if you guys can, please help me find him. That's one of the reasons why local police were also looking for a lot of help from the public. Apparently, it's already cold this time of year out there, and I believe that there was a storm front moving in, and they were worried about the search conditions. This is one of those things where time is really of the essence, said Nick Metz, chief of the Aurora Police Department. So the more that we can do up front, the better chance we'll have of finding him safe. Now, originally, because he did walk out seemingly on his own, apparently that type of missing persons case did not immediately qualify as an Amber Alert. But as the days went on, they were able to change their rules around that, and they did actually issue an Amber Alert for him. Due to the passage of time, the impending weather, and out of an abundance of caution, and to leave no stone unturned, CBI, that's the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, has issued an Amber Alert today at approximately 2:40 p.m., the police department stated on Facebook. I believe that was done on January the 2nd. And just learning a little more about David, he attended Dartmouth Elementary in Aurora and had wandered off from his home at least twice before. One time he was found at a convenience store. The other time a concerned citizen called authorities. I've also seen mention in a few articles that he also had a slight learning disability, but that's as far as they would go to describe it. At this point, it appears that David left voluntarily. We have no evidence at this point that he's been abducted, Metz said. That could change as the investigation moves forward. Metz said that the initial hope is David Puckett went to a friend's house to play video games. Right now we're searching in a 360-degree radius, which makes it difficult to pinpoint, Metz said. If David is at your home, know that he's not there with permission of his family. One article I bumped into even alluded to, it asked at least about the possibility of foul play, that media was starting to ask about that. When asked by the media what responsibility parents have when this type of thing takes place, Metz said that in this particular case, David's parents did the right thing as they immediately contacted police. He added they will also have to answer a lot of questions because authorities want to be sure they are looking at every potential issue that may be out there, so that will continue as we do this investigation. Media attending the news conference also inquired whether police had ruled out foul play in David's case, and Metz responded with, "From everything that we can tell, it appears that he, David, voluntarily left home." He also stated that after family members, neighbors, and others are spoken to, police will determine if that remains to be the case. And I really appreciate in particular how this police department has worded these things along the way. As a normal course of investigation, they have to consider the possibility that something might have been done to David, even potentially by his own family. So I just really appreciate, like I said, how this is worded, how they are trying to let the media know, hey, look, we are considering these things, but they're not saying it in a way that the family could really find disrespectful, I believe. Of course, there is a Facebook page for missing David Puckett, and I was very touched when I came here to see that they were holding an event where they were going to have some parents of a friend of his show up, and they were just trying to collect items for the search team like hot chocolate, coffee, hand warmers, shoe warmers. They had people out in these really, really cold temperatures, and they basically asked them, what else can we get for you guys? And that's what the searchers responded. So they reached out to their community and said, hey, we're going to be at this spot from noon to 2. If you want to show up, here's the things that we need. I haven't seen in a case before where people have organized in quite that immediate a fashion, where it's like, hey, we need these 5 specific items, here's the place where you can drop them off, and we'll get them right to the search team. So I thought that was really, really cool, very well done. And here is the area where David lives. You can see Jasper Street is right here, and Amherst is this little street right here. And they were talking about looking at about a 2.5 mile radius in 360 degrees. So you can see over here to the east and the south, it is all neighborhoods, it is all homes. I would really like to think that someone would have reported him missing if he would have bumped up or wound up at someone's house or on their doorstep. But I was originally a bit nervous when I saw this open land over here. There is a trail that runs off over here. There is some potential that this kid could go wandering off into not quite wilderness, but I'm sure there are some areas where it would be difficult to find him in this type of terrain. And now we get to the information that literally came out in between me researching this and me turning on the camera. I literally already had the camera on when I found out this information. But let's take a look at it together. From KDVR.com, body believed to be of missing 6-year-old Aurora boy found in Icy Park Pond. So if we go back to this map here, there is this area called Olympic Park. And if we zoom in on it a bit, we can see that there is indeed a pond here. I believe this is the pond that is being described. Of course, I will have links down below. I really have to say, I have such respect for how law enforcement handled this whole thing. Even this press conference where they're speaking about this. Of course, they had to contact his family to let them know of the possibility that they found David. You find a young man he's in the search area. I think the likelihood is extremely high that this is indeed David. So they've already contacted his family, but they did at least say, look, we still need to make sure that we get a solid identification here. And they are actually treating it as a crime scene. They want to try to understand the events that happened around David's death. Now, from what I understand, the ice, there had been a layer of ice over this pond, and they did search this park a few times, and they had searchers go around the pond, but they saw that the ice, at least from what they were seeing, was solid. So it didn't seem like someone could have walked on the ice and broken through and maybe submerged in it, but it does appear that that might have happened in this case. Police Chief Nick Metz said no positive identification of the body has been made, but David's family has been informed. The area is being treated as a crime scene, like I said, but there are no indications to believe it's anything but an accident. And he also notes that although they don't have a positive identification, the family is devastated. They also talk about how this discovery was made. Apparently, the first set of bloodhounds they had did not really find a good trace on David. They brought in what they're referring to as a specialty bloodhound. I don't know, but I would kind of make the assumption that they brought in a dog that was trained for hunting for cadavers. And they said that he was getting a hit, particularly around the pond. That's when they decided to send divers into the pond, and that's when they made the discovery. So I still have to put it out there just with a little bit of a grain of salt that we don't know for sure that this is David. However, we are well inside the search area. This is only a matter of several blocks away from his home. I am fairly confident it is him. If it is not him, I will certainly kick an update video out very, very soon. But if it is him, I don't know if there's much to update on this case unless we get some kind of different determination of his death. But as the case stands right now, it appears David might have gone off for a walk on his own, gone to a park that was local to him. He might have been there a bunch of times before. Unfortunately, it seems like he got in the water somehow. I don't know if it was iced over that night and he tried stepping on the ice and it broke through. There's definitely some questions still out there, but pretty tragic and a very tough way to start 2017. I already had the update for you guys on Jordan White today, and it just threw me for a curve when I was literally just double checking pronunciation on this kid's name and bumped into the news that it looks like this case might be closed. I feel terrible for the family and just wish them from the bottom of my heart that they are able to move through this and to heal in time, and I'm sure it's going to take some time. This is just so tragic on so many levels. I can't imagine the guilt that they must be racking themselves with on top of just the pure pain of loss. Very, very tragic case indeed. But if there are any significant developments, I will certainly keep all of you updated. And if you follow me on Twitter, I will keep an eye out in this case in particular. I don't know if they're going to try to raise funds, possibly for his memorial service or something like that, once he is identified, if this is truly the case. But if I see anything like that, I will certainly help publicize it on my Twitter account @LordenArts. if nothing else, I think we can take a reminder from this case just about appreciating all of us while we're here. Take a look at those loved ones that you might take for granted every day, and maybe just take an extra moment to understand how truly special all this is, that we get to share this time together. And if there are ways that we can be safer and try to avoid situations like this, those thoughts are probably worth spending a little time with. Thank you so much for joining me here on Searchlight. I appreciate each and every one of you out there, and I hope that you will never have to face the type of tragedies we discuss here. But I also thank you for being a part of trying to help these people in these cases. It really, really means a lot to me, and that's why I will continue to do this for as long as I can. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you on the next show on the Lord and Arch channel.